think it was last week you talked about parents giving money to their kids for a down payment. Does it have to be a parent, or could someone else give the down payment money to you?
Hey, Jeffrey, that's a great question. So it doesn't have to be a parent. It just happens to be most often the parent. And that big, gigantic phone book length article that I was reading in the opening segment, I think it says somewhere in there that 29% of the Gen X buyers, or millennial buyers rather, received a gift from their parents. But anyway, it doesn't have to be a parent. Think blood relative or spouse. So it can be a brother, a cousin, blood relative. It could be a spouse. It could be your brother-in-law. It could be a relative by marriage. Fiance, domestic partner, but not a parent. It can be a parent. It just doesn't have to be a parent. In some instances, it can also be your employer. Most of the time, that's surrounding a relocation. But think family member or someone that your fiance or relative by marriage is typically the broadest group of people that you can receive a gift from. There are some other circumstances. It can be a grant sometimes. And I'm happy to send you a full list. Actually, you know what? I'll put that up on the Facebook page too. How about that? I'll put up a full list of Fannie, Freddie, and FHA approved gift sources and see if that helps. And you can find that at Facebook by just searching The Mr. Mortgage Show. So let me throw it over to Dom and see what else we have.
We just got this text from Scott. Scott's asking, can I get a regular mortgage on a manufactured house? I'm getting mixed messages from the people I've talked with. Is this something you can help with?
Hey, Scott. Yeah, we can help with it. And the answer is yes, yes, and yes. And why 3 yeses? Because you can do an FHA, you can do a VA loan, or a conventional loan on a manufactured house. And I mean, as house prices have soared in the last couple of years, manufactured housing is what a lot of people are looking to as an affordable option. Now, there are 2 big caveats. I was going to say there's one, but there are actually 2. The big caveat number 1 is the age of the structure. So there were changes in the manufacturing process and the documentation of manufacturing in the summer of 1976. So I believe, don't quote me on this, but I believe it was July of 76. So I always say, to play it safe, 1977 or newer. The structure has to be 1977 or newer, and you have to be buying the property, the dirt, if you will, at the same time. So if you're in a co-op or a quote-unquote trailer park, and I'm using air quotes, usually a co-op is a different animal. I'm not going to go down that road. But with a trailer park, you don't own the land, you pay lot rent. That's a different type of loan. But if the dirt is part of the deal, then FHA, VA, or conventional are available all day. And they're getting expensive. I said it's an affordable option, but we just did one in Hobe Sound that was $250,000, and we helped a first-time home buyer with an FHA loan in Okeechobee for, I believe it was $130 or $140. So they're even creeping up there price-wise. But anyway, I hope that helps. And yes, that is something that we can help you with. We'd be happy to do it. Happy to answer any questions you have. So you hear the music. That means we're going to roll into another break, and we will be right back with more of your questions on the other side of this 2-minute break. And you can get those questions to us at 561-291-8569. Hey, it's Mark-Eitel here, host of the Mr. Mortgage Show. And you've heard me talk about the valuation tool that we use in our lending practice almost daily. It's not quite an appraisal, but it's way more accurate than one of those online estimates. And we're happy to run one of those reports for you at no charge. Just visit freevaluereport.org. That's freevaluereport.org. Give us a little information about the property, and we'll be happy to send you your report. That's freevaluereport.org.
Here's another 5-star review.
We kept our business above water with credit cards during the pandemic. I'm glad we did. Business is better than ever. But I didn't want to be a slave to those credit card payments. I called Mark about the rec loan he advertises. Long story short, we did a rec refinance and paid off everything, even the car. Now we only have the mortgage payment. We're saving a bunch every month. Yes, we are happy to recommend Mark and the Mr. Mortgage team.
Hey, it's Mark-Eitel, host of the Mr. Mortgage Show. You hear me all the time talking about the need to have the very best team representing you in a real estate transaction. And that starts with a really great agent. If you've got a great agent, that's awesome. But if you don't, check out www.reallyGreatAgents.com. There you'll find the best of the best, regardless of the city they work in or the brokerage they work for. www.reallyGreatAgents.com. www.reallyGreatAgents.com.
Are inflation and everyday expenses eating into your retirement income? Maybe you've considered a reverse mortgage and have unanswered questions like, do I still own my property? Can the bank kick me out? What happens when I die? Can I still leave my house to my kids? These are all great questions. Visit www.moreaboutreverse.com to learn more. That's www.moreaboutreverse.com. www.moreaboutreverse.com.
Welcome back to the Mr. Mortgage Show. Call us now, 561-291-8569.
All right, we are back. My name is mark-eitel, and you are listening to the Mr. Mortgage Show. Dom, my producer, and I do this every weekend right here, same time, same station. So thank you for joining us. And if you'd like to get your questions on the line, go ahead and shoot them to us via text or give us a call at 561-291-8569 or hit the website www.mr.mortgage and you can submit your questions there. Remember, there's never a .com, just Mr.mortgage. So I want to keep the questions rolling. I see we got a few stacked up in the queue here. So let me throw it over to Dom and see what we have.
Marilyn emailed this one in. We've made several offers and keep missing out. Our realtor is telling us it's because we're FHA. This makes no sense to me. Why should the seller care? Money is money, right? Can you explain why FHA is bad for the seller?
Hey, Marilyn, man, I feel for you. I really do. And you're right. Money is money, and the seller should not care. There's no shame in FHA, and an approval is an approval, assuming that you are approved by a lender with a good reputation, and they've run you completely through the underwriting, and they know any problems that would arise have already been addressed. You're absolutely right to be frustrated. A seller should have no hesitation with FHA. And I think where it all started was there's an addendum in a real estate contract that's going to involve VA or FHA financing that allows the buyer to cancel the contract if the property doesn't appraise. So as we moved into this crazy, rapidly appreciating cycle, people were willing to pay more than the property was listed for and even more than it was worth because they were so eager to buy a property. And a lot of people got in the habit of waiving appraisals. And if you've listened to this show for any amount of time, you know I'm not a fan of waiving any of your rights when you're entering into one of the largest purchases you'll ever make in your life. So because of that appraisal circumstance with you having the right to cancel if it didn't appraise. Now, that being said, you can still move forward if you elect to, but I think the appraisal side of it became what made it less desirable, if you will. And if you ask the average real estate agent, what's bad about FHA, almost always they're going to answer appraisal without really understanding why they're even answering it. So I believe that's the circumstance that's probably tainted them. But yes, FHA there's absolutely no problem with it, no shame with it, as long as the property meets all of the requirements of FHA. And it's truly a mindset. I mean, I work with some agents who are getting FHA contracts accepted all the time, and I'm working with some other agents who are having a hard time getting them accepted. And sometimes it's how they're presented and the mindset surrounding the loan program. So hang in there. If you have questions or you ever want a second opinion or you want some advice outside of that, just give us a shout, 561-291-8569. Hope that helps, but definitely hang in there because no shame in the FHA game. And as the market continues to transition a bit, I think you're going to find sellers more willing to accept those offers anyway. So hang in there, Marilyn. Hey, Dom, what else do we have?
We just got this text from Susie. She's asking, we have 7 months left in our lease and are trying to look at houses. Every realtor we talk to wants us to get approved for a mortgage first. We just want to look and don't have to have our credit pulled before we're ready. I don't want to lower my credit score. Is there any way around this?
Hey, Susie, that's another byproduct of this market we're in. You know, recently it's become standard practice that you're not even looking at a property without a pre-approval. And in the old days, you looked at a property and then went out and got your mortgage approval. And then we started a process called pre-qualified, where we would give you kind of a very general look over, if you will. And we would talk about income, talk about credit scores, talk about assets without verifying anything, and let you know that, yes, you are pre-qualified, different than pre-approved, for around a certain price range. So because the market's gotten so hot, everybody wants, you know, I guess if you're going to go hunting, you're going to want your gun and your bullets. But I get it. You just want to start the process. You're curious to see what's out there. So to answer your question, we have an approval process that involves a soft credit pull, which does not reduce your credit score. And it gives us enough of a look at your credit to know if you are going to be qualified. And then with your income and asset documentation, we have a very good idea to know if you're going to be approved. So that's what's called a soft pull approval. And that's available. If it's not available with the lender that you or your agent is working with, we would be happy to help. But maybe that's kind of the happy medium between your agent looking for an approval and you wanting to now start the process 7 months out. And hey, by the way, that's a wonderful time to start because it gives you time to really feel out the market and get a feel for the neighborhoods that you want to be in. And I think that you've started the process in plenty of time to get something done. So hopefully that helps. But we're going to keep the questions coming in and see what Dom has for us.
John sent this one in. Not sure I'm asking this the right way, but my wife's credit is better than mine. Can she be the only one on the loan and both of us still be on the deed? I earned the money and she has the credit.
Hey, John. So that's a great question. There's two. So the last sentence of that question kind of throws a question that I have for you out, but I'm going to answer your question first. Yes, one of you can be on the mortgage and both of you can be on the deed. And it's not uncommon. It truly isn't for one, either husband or wife, to have the stronger credit. And we many times will do the loan application in just one party's name, even though more than one party are going to be on the deed. Now, here's the thing that not a red flag, but just a question that I would have to ask. You said at the end, if I'm paraphrasing this correctly, that she has the credit, but you have the income. Now, if that's the case, it's maybe a bit more challenging because she's going to be on the loan application herself. She's going to have to stand on her own income-wise as well as credit-wise. So I would need to know a little bit more around your personal circumstance, but assuming that her income would also support the debt because you mentioned she has the good credit, then yes, you have an opportunity to do this. But if she's not earning income and you are, you're most likely going to both have to be on the loan. And I would also be curious to know how bad, and I'm not saying bad in a judgmental way, but what your credit score is and what your hesitation is in thinking that you wouldn't qualify as the two of you on the loan anyway. So I would welcome the opportunity to kind of take a look at your personal circumstance and see if there may be a way to work with both of you on there if she truly doesn't have the income. But to answer your question, yes, one person can be on the loan and then two people on the deed. So hopefully that helps. If you want to dive deeper on that, just give us a shout off the air and I'll be happy to talk to you about it. So let me throw it over to Dom and see if we have another question.
Lisa emailed us this one. We're ready to move, but are hesitant to sell before we find a house. We're thinking of taking out a HELOC to use as a down payment. Is this a good idea?
Hey, that's a great idea. It's a HELOC. But yeah, so here's the thing. A lot of people do that, right? You'll take a HELOC out and you'll use the HELOC for your down payment on your new property. Now, the caveat is you're going to have to qualify for both mortgages and the HELOC as well as all your other debt. And I'm teasing Dom calling it a HELOC, but it stands for Home Equity Line of Credit. And that's going to be more debt. And then your current mortgage, and then the new mortgage, all of that is going to have to be supported by your income, and your debt-to-income ratio is going to have to be able to carry all of that. So assuming that's the case, then yes, that's an idea that would work. I would also caution you to look at the terms of the HELOC and see if there's an early termination fee, because oftentimes there's no or very little fees on the front of getting a home equity line of credit, but there may be an early termination fee, which